ladies and gentlemen, Andre Johnson.
So, May 13th, 1994 was a very special year for me. Me and 4 of my friends was taking a road trip to Atlanta to support another good friend of ours who was graduating from Morehouse. And so on that day, I mean, you should have seen the 5 of us. We probably had about $1,500. We probably couldn't put $1,500 together between the 5 of us, but we went to support our friend. And it meant a lot to see our friend graduating from such a prestigious college. And the 5 of us, we were all in our 20s and really just trying to find ourselves. We all had a very colorful background, you know. And so we proceeded to drive to Atlanta. We rented a Cadillac, and yeah, we had to ride in style, right? We had a green Cadillac, and we were leaning. I mean, like, you know how you lean when you're in the car? Right back seat, you know. And I remember us pulling over to the side of the roads. As soon as we crossed Cincinnati, we hit the Bluegrass State in Kentucky, and we started taking pictures of the mountains. And check this out, we was taking pictures with disposable cameras. I mean, man, that seems so long ago. And we were taking pictures of each other, just hugged up like brotherly love. And finally, 12 hours later, we arrived to Atlanta. We couldn't wait to check into our 5-star hotel, which was the Days Inn. And you know, I'm from the East Side, and you know, I got these West Side guys, you know, so we always got to have one on the next one. You know, you got Mike from Schoolcraft, and Rodney from Dexter and Grand River. And I think Charles is from Southfield, and Dave B. You know, I don't know where was Dave from, but we just would talk trash all day long, but we loved each other and we supported each other because we all had a similar struggle. And finally, we made it to Atlanta. We checked in our hotel. We, you know, 5 of us in a 2-queen bed, so, you know, we had to figure out who was going to sleep on the floor, you know. And little did we know, we probably rarely even slept. I mean, at that time in the 90s, Atlanta clubs and party life didn't end until 5 or 6 in the morning. And we got it in just a little bit. You know, we were walking along Peachtree Avenue, and, you know, during that time, everybody wanted to see the underground. We walked to the underground, and I remember me and Rodney said, hey, we're gonna go find some lunch. Now, Rodney is a really, really funny guy. So we walking, and we walk and stumble up on a restaurant that sells chicken. Y'all know we love chicken. And not only do we love chicken, but the name of the restaurant is called Hooters. Now, we had never seen nothing like this. Like, these women were wearing shorts, you know, and serving chicken. And I remember me and Rodney walked in there, we was like, oh my God. You know? And, you know, it was already just an experience just being in Atlanta, because typically people speak to you. You know, people smile, they say hello, how you doing? And, you know, depending on what side of town you're from, you're not accustomed to people speaking unless they got an angle. But we taking it all in. We taking the moment in. And I think Rodney said something like, I think I met my wife in Hooters. And, and we must have ate chicken for about 4 hours on that day. But it was an experience. So finally, Sunday arrived, and typically Morehouse graduation start at about 8 o'clock a.m. on Sunday morning, and it's on the lawn outside. And if you know what it's like to be in Atlanta on an early Sunday morning, it feels like it's about 105 degrees. Sun is shining and you're cooking out there. And so we've been hanging, partying 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, 2 hours of rest. So, everybody's wearing sunglasses at the graduation, and we're sitting in this audience with this anticipation of the Morehouse men who are going to graduate. And obviously we're excited because we're rooting for our brother, our dear friend who's walking across the stage. And it's just all kind of energy. I remember sitting and looking around at the audience and seeing Oprah Winfrey. It made me feel proud. I remember seeing Bill Cosby. It made me feel proud to see these, just see the excitement and the love and the appreciation for black folks appreciating these black men that's walking across the stage. And it just seemed, the more I sat there and observed, I just felt my spirit being talked to. And I remember watching those 500 black men enter the audience, and the crowd was just in joy. It was in awe. You can see the tears going down the parents' and loved ones' eyes, and you can just feel the energy outside. And it filled me. I was sitting there with thoughts of, maybe I should do this. You ever have that thought? Maybe I should do this. And it was one of those thoughts. And then I said, well, I'm going to go to Morehouse. Now, I'm sitting there and, I lean to my partner on the side and I say, man, I'm going to go to Morehouse. First I was whispering it to myself, then I whispered it out loud. And then my friend said, shut the fuck up. He said, you're going back to the east side. So I didn't whisper it anymore, I just whispered it to myself all the way home. All the way back down I-75. And the more I whispered it, or maybe it was God whispering to me that this can be possible if you put your faith in me. And all the way back home that Sunday night, I had this resonating thought of me attending Morehouse. Now, remember, at this time, I'm 25 years old. I got a GED. I got suspended from Finney High School. Then I got suspended from Kettering High School. I think they was just picking with me. Then they said, you no longer welcome in Detroit Public Schools, period. So after about 4 attempts of pursuing my GED, I finally got it. Yeah, hallelujah. And I obtained my GED from Roof Rough. y'all got to be a real West Side to know about Roof Rough. So I got my GED, and I started going to Wayne County Community College. But when we got back from Atlanta, I had walked into Wayne County Community College, and I had spoken to a lady. Her name was Donna Johnson, and I told her that I had an interest and a desire to go to Morehouse. And she said, I would gladly help you. And Donna had just a heart for me already because her father was the trustee of the church that I belonged to. Just kind of show you the connection, how God be having favor for you in certain places, and you just never know where your help and blessings are going to come from. So needless to say, she helped me as if I was her own son. And she also linked me up with the Detroit Morehouse alumni president, and this gentleman's name was Bill McGill, a very, very highly respected, distinguished Morehouse man from all over the country. And he invited me to his home in the University District. And, you know, he was screening me, and I was like, yeah, I want to go to Morehouse, and I really want to go, and I can't wait. And he said, I'm going to support you, and I'm going to write you a reference letter. And all I know is I got my application submitted, and that was the end of May. And that following August, I had made preparation to leave Detroit. I had made preparation to move to Atlanta, although I had not necessarily been accepted into the college. But you ever just move on faith and not knowing Wilson how it's gonna work out, but just kind of showing up and putting your faith where it needs to be. And so, fast forward, August 6th, I had 2 jobs at the time. I had told my employers that I would no longer be working there, so I would need my vacation pay and my 401k. My 401k was about $3,000, 5 years of work. And I didn't care, I needed it, every dime. And so you know, at the time I was living on 7 Mile and Telegraph at the Crescent House apartment. And y'all know about that, you couldn't tell me nothing. I had a swimming pool. Oh my God, I thought I was leaving to heaven or something. But so, and I was raised off of Chalmers and Harper, and so I had, and, you know, in the 90s you have your, you know, your big speakers, and speakers are important to men. You know, I had 5-foot speakers, and at the time I had a 1981 Cutlass, and you know, with roll your windows down and pop your seats, I mean your locks, and I had an 8-track tape player. Y'all know about 8-track tape players, and the only 8-track I had at the time was Prince, 1999. And so I proceeded to my mother's house to, you know, get the going away care package, which I didn't know what that was going to quite look like, because I was 25 years old at the time. But I guess the little boy still wanted to be treated like he was off to college. And she treated me like a man. And and so I made it to the house at around 9:00 p.m. and she provided me with my care package, which consists of a case of bottled water. Now, bottled water wasn't that popular in 1994. And she gave me a bowl of grapes and a basket of fried chicken. And it was laced with Lorry seasoned salt. So I got my care package for my mother. I got everything in my car that I can possibly put in a car. And the only way I can see in back of me is through the side view rear mirror, because everything is to the capacity in this Cutlass. So finally, I'm hitting I-94 and I'm eating the chicken. The chicken is good. You know, Friday night chicken is good. Like 10 o'clock at night, and I'm driving down 94, throwing the bones out the window. You know, like I'm from Louisiana somewhere. So, and I ate the chicken all up by the time I got to Toledo. So the typical 12-hour drive turns into 16 hours. It was 16 hours. Safe passage prayer, and I finally arrived to Atlanta August 6, 1994. And in between that time, I was getting myself established and trying to figure out where I was going to work at and where I was going to live at. And so, fast forward, that following November, me, Rodney, and Rob had met in New York because the friend who graduated from Morehouse, he was working in New York on Wall Street. And so we traveled to New York for the first time, and, you know, we toured Wall Street and, you know, the World Trade Center, and hit all the boroughs, went roller skating in Bronx, New York. we were like 3 happy kids that Thanksgiving weekend. And then once Robert and Rodney had gone back to Detroit and I had gone back to Atlanta, and when I got to Atlanta and checked my mailbox, I had a letter that said, "Congratulations, you started Morehouse, January 1995. Now you got to understand what that meant for me. I mean, number one, Morehouse is a school that produced more lawyers, doctors, successful CEOs than any other historically black college university in this country. And now this little boy from the east side with a GED then got accepted in here. And I immediately started thinking, boy, oh boy, I can't believe this one, but God just showed up for me on this one. And I started thinking about my earlier trials and tribulations and the hell I had gone through 6 years prior to finding freedom. Because 6 years prior to that, I was caught up in the throes and the grips of the streets of Detroit. And I mean, I can sit here all night and tell you the stories of being close to death, or the stories of running down I-94 being chased by the police, or running down I-94 being chased by 5 guys with baseball bats, or being in a building and me and a friend of mine and smoked so much cocaine for the last 5 days, and the $5,000 sack is now $500. And when the guys come to collect, we place the blame on the person's home that we are selling the drugs and using the drugs out of. We place the blame. We get it off of us. And the guy, grabbed the ride pump and he gives it to me and say, "You got to take care of that." And the guy, and I grab it, and I'm high, and I don't know how I'm gonna handle it, but I gotta do what I gotta do, or it's gonna be me or you. And the guy gets up and he jumps out the window, 5-story window, and when he hit the ground, it's like his kneecaps are sticking out his legs, and his arms is backwards, and I am scared as hell. I'm 16 years old, and 35 minutes later, we get stopped by the police, and the police happen to be Starsky and Hutch. That was their nicknames, the same guys who killed Malice Green, if y'all know about that. And they told us, "You need to get the hell out of this neighborhood." And so when you start having those kind of experiences, you're starting to realize that it's a downward spiral, the lifestyle that I was living. So I had all these just flying thoughts as I was looking at my letter that said, "Congratulations, you have been accepted into Morehouse." And so finally, I started that following January, and I still had a lot of East Side in me, okay? Because I used to walk around with a big old gold medallion, and most Detroit boys, we wore gator boots and stuff. I had walked up on campus with some gator boots and my Guess blue jeans and my big old medallion, and I had a leather vest and a long shirt and an apple hat to the back. I had a big old apple hat, and I remember walking on the campus, and I'm seeing these guys in their cardigans and blazers and khakis, and I'm like, what is up with these dudes? And they looking at me, and then I'm in line, and there's another guy who's standing in line, and he's wearing a Run DMC hat and a Run DMC blazer, and I'm looking at him, and he's looking at me, and then there's another guy standing in line who's wearing some blue jeans and an Army fatigue jacket, and the 3 of us began to talk, and the other guy was from Detroit. And he was older than me. I mean, it's a thing when you're a non-traditional student, and you meet the students around the college campus, and the first thing they ask you is, "Where you from?" And you say, "I'm from Detroit." Then they say, "What high school you graduate from?" And typically, they assume that you graduated from Cass Tech or Renaissance. You know, so occasionally, of course, my ego couldn't tell them I got a GED. So I said I graduated from Finney High. And they said, what's that? So I said, that's a conversation I don't want to entertain no more, okay? I would avoid those conversations. And then these were the young, brightest kids from the best high schools from around the country. And I'm trying to figure out how do I fit in and how I'm gonna make it and how I'm gonna graduate. And all I know is I just gotta work hard, 3-4 times harder than the average kid had to work. And I knew I had to make it do what I had to do because I didn't have the financial family support, but I had a loving God, I had a network, I had friends, I had a support system, and those were invaluable. And I had the hope that I was going to graduate. And I looked up, January 1998, I was now among the 500 black men walking across that stage. And one of the things that I learned about just imagine, I'm walking the halls where Martin Luther King walked at 16 years old. I'm walking the halls of Spike Lee and Howard Thurman and Benjamin Mays and Samuel L. Jackson. It's all this legacy and history about not only that Morehouse is known for a really great liberal arts education, but it's indicative and expected that you be your best. You give your best. And not only that you give your best and be your best, whatever field of work that you so desire, but you also have responsibility to your community. And how do you do that? And so fast forward, in fact, next year I'll be celebrating 20 years of being an alumni of Morehouse. And being this alumni, so many doors of opportunities has opened up that I couldn't even believe was possible. I mean, I started a nonprofit to help other people that's suffering from substance use disorders in the city of Detroit 15 years ago. And this nonprofit and this group of people are so powerful. Like President Obama gave us a letter saying thank you for the work. We were invited to the White House. I mean, how does that happen? I mean, we were invited to work on a 5-year project in East Africa and Tanzania and Dar es Salaam, working with the young Africans who were strung out on pure heroin. And our team, our agency has been recognized on multiple national levels for the work we're doing to help people change the trajectory of their lives. And I attribute that to the educational door of opportunity. I mean, I didn't know nothing about a Morehouse College growing up on Pennsylvania and Shoemaker. The only thing I knew about was WC3. That's because it was on Shoemaker and McClellan. If y'all know the East Side, because people started talking about HBCU, I was like, what does that mean? But it means historically black colleges, universities. We got to support them. We got to promote them. We got to promote education because that's going to create the opportunity, and that's going to be the ticket out where we can begin to have a skill and find something that we're passionate about. Thank you all 1,000 times.
Andre Johnson, ladies and gentlemen. Morehouse.